Charlie. So yeah, please have a seat here. I was just wondering, maybe you can use the microphone here. I was just wondering what's happening here that you're doing. Get your jacket and what's up?
I lost a bet to Travis, the founder of Uber, and so the bet was I would shave the Uber logo in my head. It's about something we're going to announce today, and he won the bet. So.
Okay, so we're finishing. You started that on stage. A Uber logo on your head.
Does it look right?
It does look pretty good. Can you do that to me as well later on with a LeWeb? It's going to be much more difficult, I guess, for me. Do you do that often, Shervin?
No, not often.
Well, this is cool. How many companies did you invest in, Shervin?
We put 20 million into
No,
Uber.
how many companies? Can they all get their logo in your
head?
head?
How many on my head? Well, we should experiment.
All right. Well, I guess we should call the next speakers. Please keep going for a minute. Mike Arrington of Crunch Fund is going to join us on stage. I'm sorry, I'm a little... this is interesting. We have Adam Valkin of Axel Partners and Jay Bregman.
Whole head.
Why isn't he shaving his whole head?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's a cool idea. Mike? So
I mean, if you lost a bet, let's do this, right? So can we just shave it, right, all of it off? Because you've done that before.
No.
Can I borrow?
I could put an MA in there.
So all you're doing is doing a little U in the back.
Okay, let's bring the next speakers up.
It's not enough commitment.
You're actually on stage right now. You're going to say no and not do the whole head. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Travis Kalanick, CEO and founder of Uber. Adam Valkin, who is partner at Axel Partner, and Jay Bregman, who is the founder and CEO of Hailo. Please join me on stage. Where you want? Where you like?
Here?
Sure.
Oh my God.
Welcome, Jay.
Take a look.
Oh, so
welcome back.
Adam, you want to do? You should sit together, I guess.
Oh yes. Okay.
Oh yeah. This is Europe against Silicon Valley, so you guys should sit together. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks, Louis. So, hey, this is cool. London, LeWeb. It's summertime and it's not France. I mean, it's
nice.
like perfect.
Yeah, it beats December.
No, but it's summertime now.
That's right.
Yeah, so Paris is nice. It's just not nice in the winter. So anyway, I think they should always do these here. Okay, I want to start, but first, Shervin, I don't understand. You lost a bet.
I lost a bet.
And the bet.
I had to go through it.
So you just shaved.
I didn't think it was possible for Travis to accomplish something. He accomplishes the most things, but I made the wrong bet with him. So you can go ahead and tell it.
I don't understand why you didn't shave your whole head. What was the bet? Would you have had to shave your logo in your head if you had lost a bet?
I think I would have had to shave Menlo Ventures in the back of my head.
This sounds like just a big PR stunt, personally, but I think, a tattoo would have been better.
We're constantly doing bets like this.
An Uber tattoo.
Uber tattoo. That's for the IPO.
Introduced everyone, I think Luik did, but I'm going to redo it just so we understand here. So we have two companies on stage. You have the Hometown Heroes with Hailo. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's exactly it.
Okay, and we have Uber from Palo Alto. On the far end, we've got Adam Valkin, a partner at Excel, who's an investor in Hailo. Jay Bregman is the CEO, founder of Hailo. Shervin Pishavar, our hero, is Menlo Ventures and an investor in Uber. And Travis Kalanick is the CEO and founder of Uber. I'm Mike Arrington. I'm the founder of TechCrunch and now Crunch Fund. And just full disclosure, I'm also an investor in Uber. And although since I'm moderating this panel, I'll try to keep everything like super fair and impartial and all that. So let's start off, Jay, with you. Halo's clearly just a cheap knockoff of Uber. And I say that, it's totally as a fair, fair and balanced statement. But
I want to invest in Crunch Fund.
If you're going to, what made you decide to sort of copy Uber? What was the original decision to do that?
So Mike, today thousands of people in London will take out their smartphone. They will hail and pay for a black cab that will arrive in under 2 minutes, getting access to 20% of London's 23,000 cab drivers, they hail from inside the bar. Women at night, they hail from inside their apartment, so they don't have to go out into the streets. You know, who's doing that?
We have 30 minutes for you to get all your sound bites in. So.
I know, but I'm just so effusive about this. So in any case, let me tell you a little bit about the history of the business so we can really understand the difference.
Hold on. I want to drive this, not just give it up just yet.
Huh.
You first launched the company at the end of last year.
That's right, yes.
Okay, so the first time a customer got in and took a ride in a cab was when?
It was the 1st of November of last year.
Okay. Travis, when did you launch Uber?
June 2010.
Okay, so you're 2 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're doing this just with black cabs here in London, is that right?
So we deal with licensed cabs all over the world. We deal with cabs you can pick up off the street. We have teams ready to launch now in Boston, Chicago, Toronto, Dublin, as well as New York City, where I'm now based, managing our expansion personally.
Okay, but now you're in Dublin and London, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and really London you just started in Dublin.
Sorry?
You just started in Dublin.
We just started in Dublin, that's right.
Are you at the point yet where you can sort of say this percentage of total cab rides use our service? I know that it's something like 20% of the drivers use your service in London, is that right?
So I'd like to flip that around. Remember, we just started servicing passengers in London on the 1st of November, and since then, passengers in London have booked over 1 million miles on Hailo. That's more than going to the Earth and to the Moon 4 times in that short period of time, basically since the end of last year up until right now. So we think that's a pretty impressive engagement.
So that's to the Earth, to the Moon, how many times?
Over 4.
Wow. How many times have you guys been to the Moon and back?
I think we're
Travis,
at Mars.
it's 239,000
Uber Galaxy is coming soon.
Sorry?
Uber Galaxy, we're working on it.
Yeah. So Travis, you first launched in San Francisco.
That's right.
And you're now where? Where is the service?
We're in 13 cities around the world.
What are your top 3 cities in terms of volume right now?
In terms of volume, New York, San Francisco, and DC.
In that order?
No.
San Francisco's still your biggest city, is that right?
But it's going to lose. It's going to lose to New York pretty soon.
Okay. So you, and I was joking about you being a copycat. I mean,
nah.
But you and your co-founder was
Garrett Camp.
Garrett.
Yeah.
Who had the original? Was it Garrett? You told me this story
Yeah.
once.
So Garrett. So it was the original idea was Garrett's, and we were actually at LeWeb in 2008.
Yep.
And we were sitting around sort of thinking, what's next? He had just sold Stumble. I just sold Red Swoosh.
Yep.
And he's like, I want to push a button and get a ride.
It's like
that simple.
He had enough money at that point that he could have hired a full-time driver and car if that's what he wanted.
Well, his idea was, he's like, Travis, let's buy 10 S-classes. Let's get 20 drivers and a parking garage, and let's be baller in San Francisco.
Have like a private network?
Yeah, it was sort of like us and our 100 friends. And I thought that was a dumb idea.
Yeah. But you thought a better idea was to let all of San Francisco.
I like to say that Garrett brought the classy, and I brought the efficiency. So,
you guys are both pretty smooth. Who would you say is smoother? Who's more practiced?
Well, since we've been around for a couple years, I probably have a little more practice.
You're both dressed very well. It's like, Adam, sorry, I don't mean to point at you and say you. You invested before the launch. And you invested quite a bit of money. $17 million was the total round. Is that right? $17 million?
So we first met Hailo when they were raising their seed capital prior to their launch and during their product development phase. But we only invested in the Series A round after they had launched in London. So at the time that we invested, they had already...
when was that round closed? When did you actually write the check?
March 2012.
Oh, sorry. It was the Atomico round that was much early last year. Okay, so you had seen enough data that you saw this, and what is it that you saw exactly that you liked?
Yeah, well, I think one of the great things with the Hailo project is that we met the guys up front, and they told us everything they were going to do over the next 9 or so months in terms of execution, go-to-market strategy, relationships with cab drivers, product development, and essentially they did everything they said they were going to do and more on every single front. So at the time we invested, we knew for sure that this was a team that could execute. We were also very impressed that 2 of the founders had specifically had experience in businesses that focused on marketplaces for logistics problems. And they had spent a lot of time, 6 to 8 years, thinking about how to solve problems around location-sensitive marketplaces. And they had real chops in the space. And the third thing, which I think is really important, is it's just such a fantastic moment in time, given the on the one hand the massive opportunity in the taxi market, and on the other the timing with smartphone proliferation. I think this is something obviously that Uber picked up on as well. But in a very short space of time, we went from a couple 100 million people globally to in a couple of years' time having, say, 2 billion people with smartphones. And given the location sensitivity of this opportunity, this was really a great time to jump into such an opportunity.
How much money do people spend in cabs in London every year? What's that number?
So it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Just in London alone, if you include private hire, we're talking $4 or $5 billion a year.
Okay. Shervin, you won a highly competitive auction process for Uber's last round. What was that like? Why did you want the company, so badly? What do you love about it?
I started using Uber in San Francisco, fell in love with the product. It transformed my life and a lot of other people, and then I met Travis.
So you don't mind paying, what is it, like
blown.
5 times the taxi rate to get into an Uber?
Come on.
I mean, it's pretty outrageous.
Nuts.
It's like hundreds of dollars sometimes to go from Palo Alto to San Francisco. I know how you roll, but it still seems a bit egregious, doesn't it?
It's a flat rate from Palo Alto to San Francisco of $115.
Okay. By the way, in London,
and it's the price
we
of
don't
the
charge anything
taxi.
above the meter for Hailo.
So from the airport, San Francisco,
hold on.
for example, it's
Jay
not.
wants to say something.
Just to be clear, in
He's
London,
got
we
something
don't
slick to
charge
say.
anything above the meter for Hailo. So customers are paying what they paid before.
Oh, and you get a cut from the cab. So you're making cab drivers poor.
No. We're making cab drivers rich by increasing their efficiency and giving them access to newfound bookings. So on average, we're delivering cab drivers $500,000 in incremental business each week.
He's so good. Did you see that? He was like,
good.
Rolled that whole making them poor thing, just boom.
Very smooth.
Were you ever in politics? Have you thought about it?
No, sadly.
So
I lost for class president.
Okay. Are you done? Shervin?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's good.
Jay rudely cut you off. What were you saying?
No, so for me,
Oh, you use the product all the time.
I use the product all the time, fell in love with it. Then I met Travis, and he's one of the best entrepreneurs I've ever met. The execution of the team from the moment that we saw it.
Didn't you say he was one of the best VCs you've ever met when you closed the round?
When we did the round, we sent love letters to each other.
Do you guys send love letters to each other? Is this the best entrepreneur you've ever seen? There's just more camaraderie in Silicon Valley.
You can tell him it's okay.
Yeah, I think
There was
we don't send
PDA
love
right
letters.
there.
The love
There's
letter
no
was the
PDA.
term
He
sheet.
touched him.
Yeah. We don't send love letters, but we get on extremely well.
Yeah.
Okay. You've raised a total of $20 million.
Sorry, you're talking to
Jay,
us.
yes.
$20 million.
Okay. How much have you raised?
50.
50. Are either of you close to? Actually, are you profitable? Are you running profitably at this point?
No, we're purposely unprofitable. We're focused right now on growth.
That's good too.
Yeah.
We're as well, or you're profitable now?
I think 8 of our 13 markets are
I
profitable.
love that answer, though. We're purposely unprofitable because that answer is correct up until you're profitable or you go out of business. That answer always works. You can never have a point where you're like, well, we're not purposely unprofitable.
Well, so basically, what I mean by that is we are focused on bringing the Hailo experience to as many cities around the world as we can, as quickly as we can. We understand that how quickly this has taken off in London, a extremely large and sophisticated market, and we're excited to take it to other cities.
How long have you been in London?
5 days.
Okay, have you seen the competitive pressure yet from the 5 days of Uber? Anything at all?
Not really.
All right, what do you guys think now when you actually have a city where you're both up to speed and head to head?
This is the first one.
Yeah, but you're only 5 days old here.
That's true.
What will happen? I mean, obviously there will always be a market for cabs, and people will love to use any kind of app that helps them get a cab more quickly and more organized. I also hear drivers love your app as well. But what happens when you guys go head to head? Is it room for both, or do you guys think one of you will knock the other one out?
I mean, I think there's room for both. I think it's going to be interesting to see what an ultimate head-to-head competition looks like.
What do you think it looks like?
I mean, we haven't built our product around a market. We've built an experience around a customer desire. And I think that's probably the
key.
That's probably the fundamental difference between the two.
In cities that don't have enough taxis or have weird schedules like New York, it seems like there is an incredible demand for an organized car service. In cities that have great taxi services, it seems like Uber does less well, or it has a little bit tougher time.
I think that's what we thought when we went into a place like New York, or even when we go in. I mean, we've been in 13 cities now.
Yeah.
But we find, for instance, DC has more cabs per 1,000 people than any other city in the States.
Okay.
And we've never seen a city grow faster than that.
Yep.
So we're not exactly sure what drives it outside of the experience, but we know that people love the Uber experience. And I think that's how we've driven our product and driven what we do.
Jay, what's your response to that?
So, my feeling on this is a $35 billion global market. There is more than enough room for a couple of billion-dollar companies. We hope that we're going to be one. I'm sure Adam does. We think that Uber very well might be. That's great. I think there is room enough for multiple people. I think Travis has really highlighted the difference between our two companies, though, which is we are very much focused on the customer experience, but first on the driver experience. So what makes us different is we have this view, this philosophy, that if you can find a way to create a network and a platform for licensed taxi drivers to help them make their day a little bit more sociable and their shifts more profitable, independent of you actually giving them orders because it helps them solve some universal pain points, you can actually get the drivers using the product before you ever bring on customers, so you can have a really great service by the time you launch, and you can always be delivering to customers that as quick as hailing off the street experience. You can always constantly oversupply the market and break that supply-demand equilibrium problem that other types of providers have to struggle with. And this is a strategy that we've employed very successfully in London, and we're starting to employ in other cities where we actually bring taxi drivers, licensed taxi drivers, and by the way, we have 3 wonderful co-founders who are here, Terry, Russ, and Gary, in our business here, but also in every other city, we bring taxi drivers into the business to help us both localize the product, make it work for drivers in that particular city, and then recruit, educate, and manage the drivers in that particular city so we can create these engaged communities of drivers. Jay, and ultimately, and ironically, that helps us create a better customer experience.
When will you launch in the US?
So we are going to launch into the US into all of the cities I mentioned, New York, Chicago, Boston, by the end of the year.
But not San Francisco?
Not yet, no.
Is it because you're afraid of Uber on their home turf?
No, it's just a really, San Francisco is the same size as Leeds.
I'm just trying to create some kind of controversy.
It's the same size as Leeds in London, which is a great city, by the way.
The problem
but it has only 800,000 people.
There are no cabs in San Francisco. You cannot get a cab on the street. So that's sort of a natural problem for you. You can't make more cabs, right?
I agree, but actually I disagree with the premise. So I don't believe that in New York or in San Francisco the problem is there aren't enough cabs. I believe that there aren't enough cabs, the cabs are not organized efficiently, and no one yet has found a way to link
New York
all
is
of this
very
existing
different than
supply.
San Francisco. New York, there are a ton of cabs.
One of the differences of New York is that it's still not legal to dispatch a taxi. That's why nobody's ever done it.
It's not legal to dispatch a taxi?
No.
There's a service in New York that everyone uses.
So when somebody says, I'm going to launch in New York in December with taxis, I'm like, or by the end of the year, I'm like, how?
Oh, so you're saying he can't launch in New York?
No.
He's going to fail in his attempt to launch in New York.
He's probably hoping that they'll change the law. Maybe.
So they need, whereas you just ignore the law when you come in.
When we go in, we look at the law, and we make sure we're legal when we launch.
And then when you're not legal, you launch anyway. The whole San Francisco, or Washington, D.C. thing.
Again,
didn't you have a sting operation in Washington?
Just because...
Just answer that question.
Whoa. Hey now.
Did you have a sting operation?
There was a sting operation in D.C. It wasn't because anything we do is illegal, though.
A law enforcement officer?
No, it was a taxi commissioner.
Oh, that's not a sting operation. That's just like a taxi commissioner tried out the service.
Well, no, this taxi commissioner tried out the service, and then he had 5 what are called hack inspectors, essentially enforcement officers for taxis.
And you call them hack inspectors?
That's what they're called in D.C.
Okay.
Waiting for when he got out of the car, plus 3 people from the press.
Yeah.
They ticketed the driver and impounded his car. We don't think that any of those tickets are valid. One of the tickets didn't even cite an actual law. But just because you're legal in a city does not mean the incumbents in that city won't hate you.
So you've never had any legal problems at all? No lawsuits, anything like that?
There's never been a lawsuit against Uber.
Do you agree that you're going to have trouble launching in New York?
Yeah, so let me answer that question. So what we provide is a virtual hailing service. You know, this is simply a close-in-time encounter that is allowing you to put you in touch with the cabbie around the corner and solving the line-of-sight problem. Now, specifically towards New York, I don't know if you know this, but Mayor Bloomberg and the Taxi and Limousine Commission Chairman David Yaski have put out a request for proposal very recently. And actually, they seem to really get it and really understand technology.
A request for proposal, because you're saying you cannot dispatch taxis in New York.
You can't today, but they're thinking about it.
So let me just finish. So this request for proposal document not only asks for proposals that provide smartphone payment along the lines that Hailo does, but actually also asks for proposals that do other services such as virtual hailing, allowing you to find cabs, lost property, et cetera, et cetera.
Jay,
we've recently submitted a response. Is it currently,
to that. Could you launch in New York legally under the current law? Is that yes or no?
Absolutely. So we believe that
you're
there are no regulatory
but you're shaking
changes.
Your head this way.
We believe that there are no regulatory changes that are required for us to launch this service in New York that aren't already being contemplated.
Let me just say this as a well, absolutely biased third party. I just have a real problem finding cabs in New York, and anything that would help get them organized would be great. Yeah. But Uber, I got to tell you, in New York, it isn't the best experience. Like, I'm so used to Uber in San Francisco, which is nearly the most perfect, awesome, wonderful experience I've ever had. New York, it's not that good. Sometimes, you know, there are no cabs. Sometimes you're waiting 20 minutes, and it, you know.
Well, you know, the thing to keep in mind is that what Uber is doing is not tapping into sort of an existing infrastructure. It's trying to create a new network. And it takes time to get it right. And I think New York, what's interesting about it is twofold. One is that New Yorkers' appetite for Uber is insatiable. So every time we increase our ability to bring more cars onto the system, New Yorkers suck it up. And what that means is that demand is outstripping supply. What that means is long ETAs, and sometimes you can't get a car available. What I can say is the average pickup times in New York over the last 6 months have gone from 10 minutes to about 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
So your initial argument is that the longer wait times aren't bad. They actually show how successful the company is.
My only point is that...
But then you say the wait times have gone down. Is that because...
As you get better at supply systems and bringing more supply online quicker, you can get the pickup times lower. Which is what Hailo's seen in London, right? When they first started, they had much longer pickup times than what they have now.
I mean, actually, when we first started and launched to consumers, we already had several hundred drivers onto the system, and so actually we already provided, a very, very good standard of service above the levels, or below the levels, sorry, that you mentioned. Really, that's what makes us different, because we are tapping into existing infrastructure, both in terms of the yellow cabs themselves, or the black cabs themselves, as well as using drivers' personal smartphones, because we're a software company only. We're able to break that supply-demand equilibrium. We don't have to wait for supply and demand to manage each other up. Actually, we can oversupply first and provide great service from the get-go, and then it only gets better as our numbers of cabs increase and numbers of customers increase.
Do you want to say something, sir?
Yeah, well, we should probably break the news of why we shaved the...
Oh, the whole bet that you lost.
Yeah. There's somebody in the audience that you might want to...
Oh, okay, so
you have news. You have something.
Well, we do have some news. We did want to bring him on stage, but I don't think Hailo was okay with us doing that. We want to announce that we have brought a COO on board.
Hold on. Yeah. Before you wanted to bring him on stage, but Hailo was not okay with you doing that.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, do you guys? Do you even know what he's talking about?
Yes, so at about 6 o'clock this morning, I got a frantic call from LeWeb about, hey, could we add a third person to the panel? And the problem is we're so busy and so focused on launching in our particular cities that I couldn't just pull somebody out of something else in order to do it.
He's good. He's good.
Okay, so make the announcement.
He's good. So the announcement is that we have brought on a COO, a European, somebody who's going to help us scale globally. I think how we look at the marketplace today is like, okay, we're in 12 or 13 cities. Hailo's in one, but they're going to be in a whole bunch more.
You've hired somebody to run your European business.
No, we've hired a COO.
Who's European?
Who is European.
This is like the number 2 in the company.
This is number 2 in the company.
Why would you hire a European to be the number 2 in the company?
Because the world is not just about Silicon Valley. The world is not just about United States. The world is a bigger place.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I teed that one up for you, by the way.
Thank you.
Who'd you hire when you get to the news?
Case Coolin, former CEO of Booking.com, on the board of Priceline. He's right there in the front. I don't know if you guys can see.
don't come on the stage, though, but near the stage.
Jay will walk off if you come on stage,
What makes this guy so special that you couldn't find a single American who was...
It wasn't, again, it wasn't about finding an American. It was about finding somebody who had deep experience scaling globally.
What is his experience?
His experience with Booking.com, which I think many Europeans are familiar with, was basically growing it from a 10-person company to a 4,000-person company.
He's going to help you get rid of all these weight problems you have.
He's going to help us go global.
He's going to move to Silicon Valley.
He's going to be there half-time.
He's not moving.
No, he's moving there half-time. That's right.
I don't understand, but okay. That's great, though. I mean, it's great that you were able to... But you're going to move here, then. You should have an office here, then.
We already have an office here.
Oh, right, in London. He's in Amsterdam.
He's in Amsterdam. That's correct.
But let's just speak one comment about Case. This is one of the most world-class executives. He built Bookings.com from 0 to 9 billion, over 9 billion in revenue. This is why I have a logo shaved in the back of my head, because I lost a bet. It was such a big get. I didn't think it was possible to get someone of his caliber, so it's a really proud moment.
And how did you talk him into joining?
Well, I think it's a mix of a few things. I think it was the existing team in place. It was the traction we have in the markets that we're in. And it was about a new service, a new experience to logistics, a new experience for getting around town.
So it seems like Adam, when you first started talking about, and by the way, congratulations, that's awesome. And especially European, like, woo, that's great. Adam, when you were talking about the reasons why you invested in Hailo, you mentioned the deep experience of the founders with logistical issues over the last several years. So, and it sounds like Travis, you've been addressing this from the beginning. Huge growth, constantly trying to keep up.
That's right.
How big of a problem? I mean, is this a fixable problem over time? Like, how do you, just talking about as you guys grow, more cities, you have to keep these wait times down. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think Uber's hiring of Case is really indicative of. Firstly, I think it's a fantastic sign that people of Case's quality and experience and track record are choosing to join our industry, because it really suggests how mainstream and important this is going to be in the in the future of personal transportation. So congratulations on the hire.
Thank you.
I think but it also suggests just how much work we all have ahead of us. I mean, there's no question that whether you're in 1, 2, or 13 cities, it's still kind of the first chapter of this story. And both these companies have done just a phenomenal job in their home markets of creating a service that has really delighted customers. And I think anyone who's used Uber or Hailo has likely to have had an excellent experience, especially if it's in San Francisco and London. But I think that this is going to be a very fierce battle for all the companies, having to win each city and having to repeat a lot of the good work that they've done in previous cities, although lots, of course, to leverage. And I think that we'll see over the coming months and years, both Hailo and Uber, strengthening their management team, bringing in people that, in country management or general management roles that can help accelerate the business and make sure that these companies fulfill their potential of being real billion-dollar companies. And I think it's hugely exciting to be an investor in Hailo. I think it's hugely exciting for Sherwin and Menlo to be in Uber, and I think both these companies have phenomenal prospects.
As a user, what I'd really like is an ability to open an app and say, I need a car. And like this time, I'd like a big car because there's 6 of us. Or this time, I'm in a big hurry. And to see the cab options and the Escalade options and whatever, and in terms of how much it costs, how far away it is, and the rating on a driver. Why can't I have both of you guys in one app?
Well, I think what you've seen is, like, for instance, in Chicago, we do black cars as well as taxi.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
And what you'll see from Uber...
Does the consumer get to choose, or you just send
them? They choose.
Okay.
That's right. And what you'll see from Uber in the coming months is the ability to do exactly that, right? So whether it be something that's really luxurious...
But in some cities, the taxis hate you.
Of course.
Like in Washington.
Yes.
No, in Chicago, is it a different law? Is it just more an open
market? Well, no,
I
think the incumbents in a space, when they're getting disrupted, always are going to have some issues with the guy who's disrupting it.
Yeah.
But that does not mean, and there's some detractors even in Chicago, but that doesn't mean we can't work with the drivers directly.
And Jay, have you ever thought, I mean, you worked well with the taxis here, could you get away with, not non-taxi
I mean, for us, we are very, very focused on our model. and have been from the beginning. It's been the same model. It's worked very well for us, and it will work in the other cities
Don't
that we're
rock
doing.
the boat.
Which is basically to deal with licensed taxi drivers where the application and platform that we can provide them, because they can pick up off the street, can help them optimize their day. And actually with other kinds of transport, like private hire, it simply can't do that. So we don't have as much, we can't execute in the same model, and frankly, we can't provide the same level of customer service that we get. I mean, in London, the black cabs are just unrivaled. And that's why we love working with them.
And I think that's the core difference, and I think something that's going to be interesting to see what Hailo does beyond London. In London, there's no constraint on supply of taxis other than they have to take a test. It's a very difficult test, but once they pass it, they're good. In New York, if you want to own and operate a taxi, you have to put $1 million down to get the license to operate a single taxi. And thus, supply is constrained. You have a lot of issues around shift change, a lot of issues around peak times, Friday, Saturday night, things like that.
New York's a train wreck.
And so because of that, you need to have flexible supply. And sometimes that's when a new network can really come into play.
Last word. Jay, this is it. This is the last word.
Just one thing on that. So I think to call the knowledge, which is the bar to entry that the London taxi drivers have to go through a test, really doesn't do it any service. This is a multi-year commitment that drivers have to go through to learn every street within 10 miles of central London.
But you don't have the medallion train wreck that we have.
But what I'm saying is that is just as much of a barrier to entry as is spending $1 million.
Well, except that, of course, the taxis, the black cabs here in London, as Jay said, world renowned. They're amazing. But when you go to other cities around the world, you just don't get that experience.
Between London, New York, and San Francisco, I've lived in London, and it's very easy to find a car here relative. New York's really hard. San Francisco, you cannot flag a cab. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So I love both of these apps, and I'm gonna use Hailo while I'm here. I'm a big fan of Uber, so just want to thank all you guys.
And look, we have cars on the ground as of 5 days ago. They're not black cabs, but they're BMWs, they're Jaguars, they're Mercedes. We're bringing a stylish.
You will get a BMW, a Jaguar, or a Mercedes.
That's correct.
If you use. That's amazing.
That's correct.
And it's all free. So right.
Well, it's not all free.
Oh, it's not free. Sorry. You guys, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right.
Great to see you. Thanks. Great to meet you.
That was a great session. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Loic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.